In my previous video, we spoke about how we treat PTSD. And usually that's about trying to process the event. So go back to the event, go over and over and over it, process it into long-term memory and take the sting out of the memory so it no longer feels like it's hitting me today, like it's the same as it was on the day. It's in the past, it's something that happened and there's some remove from it. So that works really well with a single event. But there are two types of PTSD, single event PTSD and multiple event PTSD, otherwise known as complex PTSD or CPTSD. The reason it's more complex is simply there's more events. Let me explain a little bit more about that. So single events might be a one-off car crash or an assault or a medical emergency or something. But it's quite common that people might get PTSD from repeated trauma. So there might be more than one assault, for example. If you were in a relationship which was physically or sexually abusive, you might have PTSD from multiple events within that. Or if there was childhood trauma, like again, childhood abuse, there would be lots and lots of events that have caused the PTSD and they're all linked. When you try and process one of them, it triggers flashbacks of all the others. So that can feel really complicated for the person that's experiencing it. It's really hard to unpick any of it because every time I think about one of them, all of them get triggered. Like this. It's not just one event, all of them get set off. It also becomes slightly more complicated because actually, in order to try and treat that, it's not like we're going to write out one long story. You'd be there for a long time and it'd be really hard. So instead, what we try and look for is shared themes. So usually in multiple event PTSD, there'll be themes that are shared across some of the events. So if it was physical assault, the anticipation of being hit, the feeling of being powerlessness or being on the floor, something like that. And we would want to process that feeling. That is something that we do within CBT, but it's also one reason why EMDR is often recommended more for complex trauma, if you like, because you don't have to do this narrative element of it. What you're trying to identify is shared feelings, shared themes, and sit with those. And you don't have to verbalize all of it in order to be able to do that. So you get to process the feelings, take the sting out of the memory in a way that tackles all of them rather than trying to tackle one and accidentally triggering all of them. That's my best explanation.